What can teaching artists and arts organizations do to encourage older adults in your community to participate in the in-person creative aging programming?
I think that in some ways it's a little bit indirect because they're not doing the promotion in the building. But I think the extent to which they can create a concise, simple description of the class is important, and have a good image that we can put on the flyer that piques people's interest. And then once they have participants in the class, I think the way they offer the class and how they emphasize the idea that everyone is creative and has something to express, anyone can learn to draw or paint or tell a good story, that this is for everyone, the word gets out, I think. And sometimes our best ambassadors are the people who are in the class. And I think also emphasizing that this is supposed to be fun. While it can be hard work to learn how to do something and try over and over again, it's also joyous. And we don't ever want to lose sight of the fact that this is a time of life to find as much joy as possible and play as much as possible and help people get over those humps of I'm not good enough. So that's a really important ingredient for the teaching artist with class members, and especially those who are hard on themselves. They're used to being really critical. And I think that that's how people talk about it and the interest that they have is the best selling point in the building. It's also important for the teaching artist to take the pulse of the group and really pay attention to how much lecture they're willing to tolerate and how much time they just want to paint or whatever it is they want to do, and emphasizing that this is their class and we're here to bring what we have to bring, but it needs to be something that resonates with them.
Kate, how is that different for online or remote programming?
Well, I would say that's an interesting question. We are, as an organization, we've been doing about 3 months, 4 months of planning to pivot to an online format, because we anticipate, particularly in our senior buildings, that it's going to be quite some time before we can return to in-person planning or in-person classes. And so we're in a pilot project phase. We've done with a couple of our sites, and we're expanding to a few more this fall. Experimenting with visual classes and storytelling classes via the Zoom platform. That's the platform we've chosen. And we have some of our most enthusiastic students at 2 sites for the visual arts who are willing to go on this journey with us. We've already done some workshops to test out this. And so we're figuring out how we can deliver instruction and have time for people to create and share using Zoom, and have learned that in addition to our skill mastery and our social connection goals for the program, we're adding some digital literacy. And as we have learned, people probably wouldn't have done this, most of them, if they didn't have to, but I think they're appreciating being able to use their smartphones or computers or tablets that they have in a fuller way. We have also started with a few of our other classes to do surveys. We are really relying on our site coordinators to find out who has access to technology, who has access to the internet. And as an organization, we are gearing up to raise funds to provide more devices that could be offered in a loan program for a number of programs in order to cross this digital divide, which in our organization is quite wide because we're low-income housing. So we're doing a huge amount of learning ourselves, testing it out with some of our most faithful students who are eager to get back into art making with each other, and exploring some other non-technology based programming that we can do remotely and connection via telephone with the teaching artist. So you need a lot more lead time for this because then we have to have class 0, which is how to get online with Zoom, as one of my my fellow program leaders talk about. And we know that this investment, even when we can return to in-person programming, that we want to continue to offer some remote learning so that more people at more sites can participate when we don't have the ability to send teaching artists and do a live in-person program. So it's been a very creative process, something we never thought we would be doing, but here we are. And so the creative juices are flowing.